I was actually the executive producer in charge of visualizing the future of advertising for the film Minority Report. So, when Tom Cruise is like anywhere he is and there's advertising everywhere, it's like, what does that look like? How does it act? And what's the technology behind it? And it was important that that was all based on real technology at the time, but not fully developed technologies, So we were like, well, would holograms be it? And in fact, when I was at PRN, Technicolor's Premier Retail Networks, we did some in-store testing with hologram units and various other kiosks and things like that. So that's where my mind goes when I think about the future. I'm like, oh yeah, it's an immersive experience. It's not, it's not your traditional like shelves lined with product. It's entertainment. It's the brand and experiencing it in, gesture and touch and visual, audio, the whole ball of wax.
Welcome back to Deep Current, the podcast where we go beneath the surface of the industries, leaders, and systems shaping how business gets done. I'm your host, Andy Mohan. Today, I'm joined with Ann White, Chief Marketing Officer of Heartland America. Ann's experience sits in the intersection of brand strategy, customer experience, creativity, technology, which is an especially interesting combination for me in today's retail environment. So Heartland America opened its doors in 1985, so it's been there for a while, and has evolved from traditional catalog business into catalog and digital retailer, serving millions and millions of values-conscious customers. So, today we'll explore how this and how the company started, how the operational things are flowing, and we'll explore how an established retailer continues evolving, how physical catalogs and digital commerce work together, and where customer experience and technology collide. So, Ann, welcome to Deep Current.
All right. Well, thank you. What an intro. Appreciate it. Excited to discuss this. I like how they collide.
Collide for sure. I mean, it's changed a lot during that. I mean, it's been...
Oh my gosh. Every day, every hour, it seems.
It's crazy. It's been 50 years since, it's a long time since Heartland opened the store. So it's 50 years and a lot has changed since then. But before we get into that, let's talk about you, your career, how you came into this industry and into this company as well.
Wow. Okay. Well, like you said in the intro, my fascination has been at the intersection of customer experience, utilizing technology in particular. So I have kind of come up through the introduction, a lot of new technologies in marketing and creative, very kind of aligned with my career trajectory. So I've been fortunate to be a pioneer in many areas, but it's also just always been my fascination. So I spent a lot of time in retail as a vendor developing in-store digital media networks through a division of Technicolor called Premier Retail Networks. And that's where I really learned a lot about retail. So I've only been at Heartland for a couple of years now, but what I really like about the challenge here is that it is a 41-year-old catalog company, literally print catalog, and we still do 13 print catalogs a year.
Wow.
Right? So I had formerly worked with the CEO, Kendra Reichenau, at another small retail D2C company. And she invited me to come here and help her kind of reinvent the print catalog initially. So with my creative background and consumer experience, really taking a look at that and saying, how can we modernize it but not lose our current clients? Because the customers here are an older demographic. We didn't want to shock them with a whole new look. It truly is a catalog. Every product has a listing. It's like a print version of an e-commerce site. So it gets very crowded visually. So that was my first project. And then she convinced me to come on full time and take on all of digital marketing and e-commerce. And so we've been really building that digital customer while at the same time maintaining, if you will, the original catalog customer. We still have people who mail in their orders in an envelope with a check. And we still have people who call us on the phone and place their order. And we have, quite a few people who come from the catalog. It's a wonderful marketing tool. Direct mail is still alive and vibrant. They come to the website from the catalog. And then a lot of times they'll just place a phone call. So they're shopping the website, getting more information, but they still are calling. And that's really one of our big point of differences here at Heartland America is that we have actual people answering the phone. And as a customer, you can shop us any way you want. You can shop us online, you can shop us on your phone, on your desktop, whatever, or you can use the catalog, you can mail in an order. So it's been an interesting journey because we are a multi-category discount retailer. And that's really been, for me, a big challenge because we are multi-category. It's a different approach to marketing than what I've experienced in the past, where it's maybe like a skincare line, let's say, or something like that. And then because we do a lot of buyouts and closeouts to get those awesome deals, our inventory turns 30 to 60 days. So as a digital marketer, how do you build up enough momentum in an algorithm to really sell that product? Well, you kind of have to look at it a lot differently. And I'd say, it's the collision you were talking about at the beginning is really to our benefit, right? Because with a lot of the newer technologies that we have available and AI and the data tracking, we're able to move faster, I would say, than we would have even just a few years ago. And as a small company, we're really nimble, and that helps a lot.
You answered my follow-up question, so I don't have anything else to ask right now on,
All
on
right,
this
then.
this intro. This
We're
is
on a
great.
roll, Andy.
No, but I mean, since you joined, has the customer changed or it's still the same?
That's a really good question because it is an older demographic. And because we're a discount retailer, we do cater to, people on a fixed income, like retired on Social Security, that sort of thing, or a lower income. But they do, they own their homes. The customer change that's happened since we've been building up digital the past couple of years has been before we were very male centric with the catalog, men shopped us more than women. And now with digital, we're about 50-50. So that's been interesting. And I've seen on the digital side, you know, every quarter, more and more people are shopping on the mobile phone versus desktop. And that's not uncommon for most e-commerce businesses, but I think for us, for our older customer who might not have a smartphone, that's been, a good indicator that we're expanding our audience reach.
Or they probably have a smartphone, but they don't really know how to use it properly, right? Or how to access to
Perhaps.
these sites.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, to be completely transparent, our website was not exactly mobile first. We recently upgraded, we're on the Miva platform, and we recently upgraded to the latest framework. So before we had a lot of customizations, it was very hard to integrate with other technologies and, it took a while to get things the way we wanted them for the customer experience. But now we literally just July 1st, which is not even quite a month ago now, got up on the new framework and are, kind of, I wouldn't say rebuilding the website, but definitely being able to approach it differently. It's a much smoother checkout experience. It's a much better mobile experience. So we just keep progressing.
It's evolving. I love that. So Heartland America has built its brand around quality products always, right? At affordable prices. I think that's the main goal. But
Mhm.
the consumers can now compare price across dozens of retailers or other vendors. They can go to Amazon, they can go to wherever they want, right?
Yeah.
What does value actually mean in today's customer for today's customer beyond like simply offering the lowest price?
Yeah, that's a great question. And really the crux of how we differentiate our offering and our brand. So, what I think it means is that you're getting the best level of quality for the price. So, it's not just that it's a low price, it's that the quality is better than you would expect, and that gives you the value. So we source, very carefully. We test everything. We do not purchase anything, resell anything unless it has 4 stars or above already, right? So there we're guaranteeing quality. And then if you want to compare us to an Amazon, for instance, Amazon is a marketplace. So it's when you go to search for, let's say, a drill, a power drill, you're going to get thousands and thousands of different choices, right? When you search that on our website, you get 2, maybe 3, sometimes maybe just 1, because we're looking for what's the best absolute power drill that you can get for this best price. That intersection is the value, right? And we do develop some of our own products. This power tools is one of them. Apparel is one we just started and will be officially launching here in the beginning of August. And that's because we wanted some control over what those features are and to be able to keep the price in line too. As you know, with tariffs and everything, it's been very hard for discount retailers. There's not a lot of excess inventory out there right now. So that's one way for us to kind of balance out, our assortment.
Interesting.
I
Very,
also think the value comes with the customer service. I mean, I can't ignore that that's really a huge point of differentiation. Again, especially between the two retailers you mentioned, Amazon or Walmart. You can actually call us on the phone and talk to somebody. And I'm not saying that we don't have the latest AI bot who's super smart and can answer some basic questions, but you can talk to a real person, during our customer service hours. So that's not something you will ever achieve with those other retailers. And again, with our older customer or with any customer, really, it's like you have a question and for some reason the product information page isn't giving you the answer, give a call, that level of service. We answer all of our, questions and reviews, and we just have amazing customer service. I mean, we've been actually unsolicited. We were honored by USA Today as one of the retailers with the best customer service.
that's great. That's fantastic. That's actually impressive. And do you feel that your consumers are price sensitive, or they're just looking for the best value overall?
I think, well, we have customer segmentation in marketing speak. There are the customers who only shop the sales, right? Who only go to the clearance page, who really very price conscious, but they also love that treasure hunt of the deal. But then the majority of our customers are really very price conscious. Again, they're not looking for the cheapest thing. They're just looking for something they can afford that really works.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Do you feel that customers are buying more, less? Has something changed? I mean, is it fewer items than they used to be? I mean, maybe you have identified a customer that used to buy, I don't know, orders three at a time, and now it's probably ordering at one. I don't know if you have that.
Yeah. Interestingly, our basket size hasn't changed that much recently, but for sure people are buying less. We are getting more orders, but our AOV has gone down. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I think one of them is outside influence of the economy right now. It's really hard for a lot of people, especially at the economic level that our customers are at. It's really hard for them. We've tried to keep our prices consistent and not, add on, add on, add on, but it's hard, especially with shipping prices going up. Very, very difficult for a retailer like us. So yes, we've definitely seen a softening. They're buying lower priced items and they're buying things that are, I would consider more kind of everyday essentials, which again has been part of our evolution over the past couple of years. We've evolved our assortment to include more apparel, like 3 packs of t-shirts. We sometimes get brand names like Hanes, but our prices are phenomenal. And then we've also expanded our food. We sell snacks, candies, like kind of charcuterie kits and things around the holidays, things like that. But also our health and wellness category, where we're selling a lot of neuropathy creams and supplements and things like that are things people really need. So we're seeing, that's been pretty steady and or more, but it's the more expensive items that you might not necessarily need that I think have softened more.
It makes a lot of sense. And Heartland America, I mean, is very interesting because you're still a catalog, right? It's still part of the business,
Very
and
much so. There they
it's
are
still a
right
very
there.
important part of it. And does it still have like does the physical catalog still have a big play today compared to online browsing and shopping?
Absolutely. I mean, we wouldn't be around if we didn't have the catalog anymore. I think that's the mistake that a lot of traditional catalog companies made. They thought, oh, cool, now we can move everybody to online. Well, not everybody wants to shop online. Not everybody can shop online. I mean, a lot of rural communities still don't have great internet connections. So to be able to sit down and page through a catalog, and read all the descriptions and all that, it's kind of fun. It's like entertainment. So yes, catalogs are very much alive and critical to our business. I mean, we estimate that 60 to 70% of our customers are coming from the catalog to the website. That's enormous. But again, like I said, our biggest channels for ordering are still mail in and phone calls.
So yeah, so it's still your primary source of at
It
least
is. It
awareness,
is
and
crazy.
at least a guide. I mean, because if you ask me personally, if I would was getting the catalog every month on my mailbox, at least it reminds me, hey, I can go browse online and just check it, even if
Right?
I didn't see the catalog per se. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it sounds a very interesting product. So speaking a little bit more operationally, how difficult is it to create one consistent view of the customer across all these touch points?
Wow. It's difficult for a company of our size. I know that the technology and the teams and the marketing analysts are out there at these larger companies that are crunching the numbers and getting all that data, but for a company our size, it's very, very challenging. But I will say AI has made it a lot easier. If we can get a hold of the data, the analysis goes a lot faster now.
Makes total sense. Yeah, and data is key nowadays, and in today's world, in today's technological world, data is key.
Mhm.
So, how long do you have? Would you say that has been a challenge? Has it been since forever, or since
Well, I
more?
think it's been forever for every marketer, hasn't it? I mean, being able to prove to the CEO and the CFO exactly what dollars go to where and who's responding has always attribution has always been the biggest issue, right? Because it's not just one touch point. I think I mentioned earlier, I've been here a total of probably 2.5 years, but full time two on this current marketing role. And when I started, I think we were around, you know, 3 to 5 touch points, and now we're like 5 to 8 touch points before we convert.
Okay,
That's a huge difference and an expensive difference too. And I don't think we're unusual in that way, really. I think there's so much clutter out there for consumers. It's really hard to, get their attention, but then to keep their attention. So building out that funnel is really important. But going back to your earlier question, how difficult is it to track, the customers? Yeah, that's always been an issue, always been difficult. We do a catalog to digital match back every month to try to understand who are our digital first customers, like how, again, because we realize that even if you get a catalog and you shop online, you might have also seen, our social media post, or you might have been targeted with an ad from us. You might have even searched and, click through on a search campaign. But we do know who we send the catalog to. So we can compare who gets a catalog versus who's never got a catalog, but they shop here. And that's how we know that they truly came in through digital marketing channels.
interesting, interesting. And since data lives in different places, what decision becomes harder? I mean, when you know that you have people online browsing, you have all browsing data, and you have like people who are getting the catalog. So, what's the decision that it's the toughest to make around that data?
Wow. I mean,
If we don't
so
have an
many.
answer, don't worry, we can skip.
I don't know if there's any one thing. Well, okay, I'll tell you what the one thing is. And this is again coming from, the C-level executive. It's like I said earlier, what do you really invest in? How do you really know? Because Google's got its way of attribution, Meta's got its way of attribution. If you look at, and I'm just talking a little bit digital marketing centric right now. If you look at the platform itself between Meta, Google, Microsoft, their reporting is very different than if you run it through GA4,
Of
right?
course.
Because they're gonna claim, oh, we made that sale, we made that sale. Did they? I don't know. So at some point you have to decide what's your source of truth and just live with it.
No, and it's very interesting because the catalog for you, it's still the main awareness and source of shopping right
Yeah,
now.
we do prospecting through the catalog. I mean, our catalog business is pretty sophisticated, somewhat more sophisticated than digital, to be perfectly frank, because we have clear segmentation of the audience and our circulation is affected by that. Digital, we're still working on that. We're still working on what is our segmentation. Like I said, figuring out who's digital first is kind of the first step of that. But then getting a clearer understanding of, okay, are these, as we talked about earlier, are these the customers who only come for the sale or the clearance? Or are these the customers who are really looking for the value and will shop with us more often?
And probably the challenge would be how to, and I think the digital challenge is how to do we address to the younger generation that are used to when they want to buy something, they automatically go online. And second of all, they probably go to eBay or Amazon like as the first choice. So how do we change that mindset as well?
Yeah.
Imagine.
I just I just had a chat with AI yesterday, I think it was, about the younger audience. And I was going all the way down to I think it was the Gen Z. And they said that they see it on TikTok, and then they go to YouTube and watch a video, and then they go look for reviews of the product. And then they might do some price comparison, and then they'll purchase from somebody they trust. So,
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
right? So you have to be everywhere all at once.
And you missed Instagram there. I mean, if you would have said Facebook, probably not, but the younger generation uses Instagram instead of Facebook.
It
So yeah,
wasn't on the list, but yes, we've definitely been building up our social presence, and Instagram is really key to that.
interesting. No, of course, and I think it speaks highly of the evolution that you're still trying to create, right? The
Yeah.
company is evolving constantly and consistently throughout 50 years. So amazing.
YouTube's actually I think I feel like YouTube's kind of a I don't know how to say it. It's like something people don't I don't think marketers think as much about YouTube as they should. And what I just said about that Gen Z analysis even reinforces this. But I also know for our customers, our older customers, they watch YouTube a lot. And I can even give a personal anecdote. I mean, my mother in her mid 80s was on YouTube all the time because that's where she could find ballet. She wanted to watch ballet, and she wasn't able to go out to the shows as often being of that age. So, there's a whole channel there that I think a lot of retailers aren't necessarily taking advantage of, especially the smaller mid-size like we are because it's a heavy lift, right? I just brought in a full-time social person about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and she is a content engine. She's amazing, and she's really built out our YouTube, and we continue to build it out. And also multi-purpose, a lot of the videos because we're doing a lot of product videos, of course, which we can utilize on Insta or even in ad campaigns, and then also in Reels and on YouTube for the longer form ones.
There's a lot of people that use YouTube as a search engine as well instead of
Yes,
Google. So at the end of the
exactly.
day, yeah, and people watch ads on YouTube constantly. I'm gonna give you another idea. For example, my
Please.
I have a younger daughter. I mean, who watches videos on YouTube with my daughter? Is either my wife, myself, my mother,
Yeah,
my mother-in-law. So it's a full three different generations just watching at
yeah.
the same pace. So
It's very
your
powerful.
target reach is very broad.
Mhm. Mhm.
Very interesting. So Heartland America buyers evaluate products, right? Compare pricing. In some cases, they test the products before. I mean, you mentioned this. You test everything. So
Yeah, the buyers. Mhm.
exactly.
Absolutely.
So the company also sells and closeouts like discontinued products from recognizable brands, right? How do you balance like finding an exciting deal with making sure that it's the right product for your customer and your brand?
Wow. Well, that is not what I oversee, but I can tell you what I know about how our buyers and our merchant team works. So, obviously, we have certain categories that historically have done well with our customer base. Some are very unique, like retro electronics.
Hmm.
Retro electronics are super fun because it looks old and it has a cassette player, a CD player, a record player, but it has all new technology like Bluetooth, right?
Okay.
So people are then kind of upgrading their system, but they're still able to play their hard media. So that's kind of an interesting little niche. So that's kind of the first thing is like the assortment is strategized based on historically what's worked, but then also it's very collaborative here. We listen, to what's going on out there, and there's certain products that are trending on social and we're like, would this work with our customers? So we'll give it a little test, after we find one. We not might not buy the whole buyout, but then if it starts to sell and we want some continuity, if we can't get that particular product, we'll find something very similar. So we have what we call continuity products, which it might not be the exact same product, but it's the same, product at its essence.
I can imagine the marketing and merchandising are working very closely together on this. What signals tell you that a product will perform before you commit to it?
The value, that intersection of price and quality, understanding that it has good reviews and why, and how can we
Yeah,
take
yeah,
that and expand on it. That's, I guess, part of the advantage of buying the buyouts and closeouts. Like, well, it's already had a little bit of a run out there. We know maybe what the problems are and we know what the positives are. So we can make sure that we're being very honest with our customers in how we present that product.
I love it. I love it. So, how quickly can you identify if a product's underperforming?
How quickly? Wow. Well, the catalog is usually the first indicator because it's our biggest source of revenue, right? So within a week of the catalog hitting home, we start reporting on trends and what's selling, what isn't selling. And then as the digital marketer, I'll go on the site and be like, "Oh, okay, it sounds like this one is they're responding positively to this new product. What are we doing on our digital side to boost that?" And some of the short-term things we can do is email or SMS. Longer term would be, do we, is it in one of our paid ad campaigns or not? Or social. We do a video for every single new product. And so we already know it's in social.
Great.
But how fast? I mean, it takes a few weeks. I mean, early indicators, yes, we have that, but it takes a few weeks to really see. And I think that is one of the other advantages, unlikely advantages of having a print catalog and thinking, oh, you guys still do a print catalog. That's crazy. Well, yeah, but it's giving us some really great insights that we can then move fast on the digital side. And the inverse of that, if it's not doing well, we can promote it more, or we can examine the product description or add another video, like an explainer video or something, especially if we get any reviews or comments. The call center's giving us feedback all the time. They're saying, oh, so, we've had 3 calls in the past week about this XYZ thing that's happening that was unexpected. And of course, they've taken care of it, with the customer. But on the marketing side, we're like, oh, okay, we better put something in the content that tells them how to set that up because it wasn't really clear, or there wasn't a manual included or whatever it was. So there's a lot of, again, collaboration between the teams
Yeah.
and awareness.
And you said a couple of weeks to identify some things underperforming. I was expecting you to say months, so I'm actually impressed.
It's sold out within within a few months. We've sold through that inventory. So yeah, we got to move fast.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
I
So
mean, again,
in a
you never know. I mean, we've had products like, especially on digital, where it might not have done well in the catalog, and then all of a sudden it's selling on digital because it's hit that sweet spot in the algorithm, and it's like boom, 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 boom. It's just going, going, going. But then when it's gone because it was a closeout or a buyout. So that's hard. That's hard as a business to be like, yay, we're doing so great. And then so sad it's gone. So
uh,
when we do have those moments though, that's when the buyers are back out there like, oh, can we find something like that and replace it? Like we had something called a So Clean, that was the brand, CPAP cleaner. Hadn't really sold those items before. It did great on catalog. It killed it on web. And I think it's because So Clean was the brand name and it was a CPAP cleaner. It was just hitting it on the SEO, right? And this was before LLM really took off. And we were doing great, coming through. Oh, well, yeah, that's a buyout. That's a closeout. That's actually a brand that's going away. So the buyers went out and they looked for another CPAP cleaner that was comparable, within the similar price range, similar features, good quality. We were probably down a month where we were out of inventory. Your algorithm dies. You have to build it back up again, right? So it's hard.
that makes sense. And I think I've seen that brand. I think I've seen influencers that clean houses or whatever use that.
Mhm.
So that also gives you another like maybe it got famous because of it as well. You never know. I mean, there's some
Well,
external
yeah,
factor.
we sell a lot of as seen on TV products. And so our buyers give us a list of which ones are they promoting the most, like how much ad buy did they do for each of these as seen on TV, so we can kind of dovetail and get a little halo effect off of their advertising.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Moving something similar, but moving to a little bit different. I had a recent conversation about retail. It's not out yet, so I cannot mention who it was. But we explored the idea that retail still comes down to product, people, and execution. So, from your CMO perspective, where do brand and customer experience fit into the equation? Brand and customer experience, yeah. Where do they fit? Let's skip this one if you want, and maybe
No,
I'll ask.
no, I think it's a good question. I mean,
It's tough to
it's
answer though because
it's difficult.
it's very
Well,
general.
because brand marketing is loosey goosey, soft, and hard to prove. So a lot of people ignore the brand part, or they think that it's just, the visual part is the brand. What's the logo and the color palette and the layout and all that. That's our brand. But the brand is really the emotional connection that you
Is the
make with your
message, yeah.
customer. Yeah. And so we're at an advantage because we talk to our customers. We actually have them on the phone. And so, that's part of our brand. And we approach it much like a neighbor. Like, we're Main Street value, honest deals. We're like that small town five and dime, that used to exist in a lot of small towns where you knew the owner and you knew that, again, the quality was there. So from a brand standpoint, that's the connection between the customer and the product, is that trust, the trust factor. And that's what you really have to build with the brand, is, do they trust you and why do they trust you? And it's consistency in value, which again is quality and price point, and it's consistency in how you deliver your customer service, which again we've been awarded for. So that is really, that's it right there, right?
Yeah.
You
And
can't have
and
one without the other.
Of course, it makes sense, and I actually like that answer because it actually touches different areas and elements of the company and in different sectors that your company needs to for it to be able to execute at a high level. So I like that answer very much. So Heartland serves a large customer base, right, across different categories,
Mhm.
ranging electronics, apparel, tools, outdoor living, whatever.
Yep.
How do you make the shopping and marketing experience relevant to the customers that may be very different, interesting interests or buying behaviors in general?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's really the marketing, the merchandising, and the storytelling of that, right? So in the catalog, the merchandising, we call it themes, we'll have a spread that has a theme. If it's gardening or lawn care, during the season, they might be separate, but just before the season or just outside the season, we might combine those 2 because 'cause they're both lawn and garden, right? So you kind of expand and contract those themes as the seasons dictate, if you will. And then on digital, it's I won't say it's necessarily easier, it's more complex,
Hmm.
but it's more possible, right? Because I can target specific people and their psychographics and the data around what they've purchased or are shopping for and be able to send them to a specific landing page. And that's something we've been talking about a lot lately with trying to expand our customer base into younger customers. It's like, how can we attract younger customers when we sell neuropathy cream and electric tricycles? I'm like, well, they don't need to know that. We can send them to a beautiful landing page that just sells them retro tech and like camping gear. It's like
Interesting.
that's
Yeah.
the beauty of digital, right?
Very, very interesting. And yeah. And how do you, when you evaluate loyalty, like which metrics tells you the most? Repeated purchases, purchase frequency, average order value? Do you have a membership retention rate that you measure?
We actually have a membership. We actually have a couple different memberships, and those are our best customers. And some customers have more than one membership because our primary membership that we promote the most on digital in particular is called the Value Club, and that's you get a discount on everything you purchase.
Okay.
You get a discount for joining. And then we have one that's free shipping. We have one that's free oversized shipping, I believe. So somebody who shops often for, like lawnmowers and snowblowers and things like that might consider something like that. So like I said, some people have one membership, two memberships, three memberships. Just depends on how often they shop with us, and they shop more when they have a membership. I think that's pretty common for most people. It's not at this point, it's not a loyalty program. They're not really gaining points, but we do segment into VIPs. We have it segmented and we do reward our best customers in different ways. So, yeah, I think we use all those metrics to measure who's a good customer. How much they buy, how often they buy are both big factors. And then are they a member or not?
Interesting. Yeah, of course. And keeping like for me the customer service needs to be very, very human, right? And you mentioned this, you still have like a chatbot, but you also have a lot of calls, a lot of people like making sure the customer is taken care of.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that to keep real customer service representative instead of just forcing every interaction to go to a bot? Why have you maintained that connection and it's being part of your strategic while everyone else is trying to force the
hmm
AI bot, right?
Well, the same reason we still have a print catalog 13 times a year because our customers want that.
Yeah. It makes
That's what
yeah,
they want, you know?
simple answer, and it makes sense. Yeah, if you're still evolving and adding the new features, but you need to still be loyal to your loyal customers. So it's takes
Yeah, I mean, we are a very modern company inside, but outside to the customer, we're who the customer needs and who they want us to be, you
I
know?
love that.
Yeah, so we haven't avoided updating our systems as new technologies have evolved. We haven't avoided, you know, analyzing and overanalyzing our workflows and, really building out efficiencies as a company, but we don't change the way that we serve our customer unless we can improve it based on what the customer is saying they need.
And follow up to that, which customer situation should never be automated?
Never be automated?
Hmm.
Oh,
In your
I
opinion, right?
I just feel like at some point you should be able to reach a real person because yes, AI bots are going to get more and more sophisticated and be able to answer questions better and better, but sometimes you just need to talk to a person. It just is more efficient. So, yeah, I don't have a specific, you know,
No, but
thing
that's
that a
basically
customer
it.
would
Like,
be looking for, but yeah, I just really believe that.
no, and I agree. I mean, it's nothing that I hate more than being chatting with a bot for hours, not being able to chat with an agent
Going in circles,
when it was a super simple
trying to get
thing.
your question just right so they understand what you're
Exactly.
asking. Yeah, no, that's
Exactly.
annoying. That's a
It's
terrible
annoying.
customer
And they're
experience.
getting better. They're definitely getting better,
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
just
and they will continue to.
yeah, definitely. And what are your customers telling you that it might never appear in a dashboard? I mean, if you're automating everything, you want to be able to see that.
Well, I mean, specifically, what you don't see in a dashboard is the customers telling you other than revenue metrics, engagement, conversion, unless you're looking at customer reviews, both for the company and for the product, you're not gonna get the specific, I guess, feedback of why like shopping with you or what you're doing wrong exactly. So we have weekly reporting on reviews, it's sent to the whole team. There's a summary, and then you can open the whole spreadsheet and read every single review if you want to. And you get a lot of good insights that way. That doesn't come across in a simple metrics KPI dashboard.
Love it. So moving into like marketing technology and AI, we've talked a little bit about this. You said that you spoke about the need of marketing technology teams to work from a shared business outcome instead of debating individual tools or feature requests. Where does the relationship between marketing and technology most commonly breaks down inside retail or organizations?
I think that some people move faster than others into new technology, and right now I know a lot of companies are experiencing this at every size, small, medium, large, where, there's people who quote unquote go rogue because they've found a great solution. And as a marketer, one of the biggest challenges is building that strategic relationship with your IT department, because both of you feel an ownership for the data and for the technology that delivers the customer experience, and building that trust between the two of you and understanding of how you work together, I think is probably the biggest downfall I've seen, where there's, silos. This is not true at Heartland, but I've seen it and heard it from other marketers and IT. I go to IT CTO roundtables, I go to CMO roundtables, and I hear it from both sides. It's like, oh, I can't work with, them for whatever reason. So I've actually hosted a roundtable where I talked about like the language barrier between the way marketers talk and the way CTOs talk or CTIs talk, and trying to build that a stronger understanding, which is more critical than ever right now, right? Again, we've got people going rogue who found some great solution and they're just using it, but it's not part of the enterprise system. It's not, security hasn't even been checked, you know. So I think that's happening everywhere at every size business, and it's hard to wrangle because
And
we
do
have
you feel
access to everything, right?
yeah. No, and of course, and each team speaks differently. They they're trying to achieve different goals, but at the end of the day, it should be the same goal from the company. Where do you think the friction is? Does the friction usually come from? Is it language, priorities, legacy systems, ownership, speed?
Part of it's ownership and feeling of ownership of the data, but then I think priorities. Yeah. Marketing wants to move fast, needs to move fast in a lot of instances, and sometimes that's more difficult for their tech support to understand or to even move fast.
Okay, yeah, of course. And now that AI is being applied to content, personalizing everything, forecasting, dashboards, workflows, everything is AI now, right? I
Mhm.
think everywhere you hear it's AI this, AI that. Where
Yeah.
do you believe that AI can create a meaningful retail value today?
Retail value? Is
Yeah,
that what you
where is
said?
it? Yeah, where can meaningful retail value and where is the industry getting ahead of itself?
Wow. Well, I see the biggest value in, again, how quickly it can analyze data and make it actionable. Not just analyze it, but make it actionable. Of course, you still have to have the experts to be able to make sure it's not hallucinating, but I see that as a way for small and mid-sized companies to really take on the larger companies, because you can move faster a lot of times in a smaller organization adopting some of these new AI technologies.
Of course. And you mentioned that you need the data and the operational infrastructure before being able to properly use AI already. So I think it's
Yeah.
aligned with how the future where the future is headed, right? Regarding these tools. And not every tool is going to be a perfect fit for your company. So it's finding the best solution to
Yeah, I think that's tricky, right? There's so many startups right now, and you kind of don't know who to trust or who's still going to be around in a year or two. And some of the solutions are very compelling. But we've also found that we can build a lot of stuff ourselves too. So that's been interesting. We've said goodbye to a couple of vendors because we could build the solution in-house. Couldn't do that before. And I'm not talking the IT department, I'm talking the marketing department. Doing coding, code using Codec and building a solution.
Yeah, it wasn't possible 3 years ago. Not now, it
Right.
is now. Yeah, I agree. So this is one of my favorite questions, like in general. When this is if you could fix one thing, okay? This is what I call the question. If you could fix or modernize one operational or customer experience challenge in retail tomorrow, what would it be?
My gosh,
You have a
Andy.
magic wand.
One thing, just one? Can I have 3 wishes? No,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just kidding. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure. There's so many things I want. I don't connecting all the data. I mean, that's always the challenge. I want all the data to be connected in one place, with one actionable dashboard. That's the dream.
That's a that's actually pretty good. In operationally speaking, I think most companies want that, right? And from a
Well, yeah.
marketing department, it's fantastic because if you have all the data in one place and it's actionable, wow, you can create a lot of things. So it's a great answer.
Mhm.
Who do you feel that solution impacts first?
It impacts everyone, but I think part of the biggest impact is that it would give the C-suite more clarity because I think right now it's sometimes very fractured when you've got, you know, this lead and this lead and this lead going in and giving their report and talking about, what needs to change or what they're working on. But to have that more holistic approach to it, I think would be a game changer.
Yeah, I agree. And why do you think nobody has solved that issue yet?
I think there's some people out there that might have a pretty good solution, just not affordable for most companies.
Okay.
I think actually, where it's actually probably been tackled more on the B2B side than the B2C side. You know, I
Yeah.
think that there's been like I know I was at Hybris, which is an omnichannel commerce platform that got acquired by SAP right when I joined them. They were definitely working on that from an omnichannel standpoint, multi-channel retail. But I still think from a marketing standpoint, the most strides have been made in B2B because it's a little bit more linear. It's like you know who you're targeting, you want to develop these leads, how far are those leads down in the funnel? It's a little bit easier to pull it all together. When you're talking about again a multi-category discount retailer like us, it's like, whoa, the data sets just expand exponentially. And so that's why it's my dream. It's like pull it all together.
I love it. I love it. So I like closing with a lightning round. You ready for that? First thing that comes to mind, okay? This is
All
fun. This
right,
is a lot of fun. So
ready.
let's get you ready? Let's get going.
Ready as
So
I'll ever be.
yeah, no worries. So it's straightforward. So one retail metric leaders pay too much attention to.
ROAS.
Okay. One
I'm
metric
coming
they
at from a marketing perspective,
yeah,
don't forget.
of
So,
course.
yeah.
It's your area of expertise. So I wasn't expecting anything more. One metric that they do not pay attention to.
Ooh. Hmm. Brand awareness.
Okay. Human merchant instinct or predictive analytics.
Human merchant instinct or predictive. It has to be they have to work together. You
They
can't have
have
one or the other.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. One customer experience detail that companies underestimate. I think you mentioned it already. I'm going to answer for you. I think it's the value of being able to provide good customer service.
I think that's it. I mean, people underestimate that. They think, "Oh, I've got the product, I've got the description, I've got a smooth checkout, done." It's like, well,
I agree. No, I agree 100%. Technology you believe will materially change retail in the next 3 years.
AI, obviously. I mean, I don't even know what else I would answer.
It's changing everything. So I agree
It's
with you.
changing everything because because it's real time in some instances, right?
Yeah. And if it would be can you think of anything specific inside AI?
Well, I immediately went to in-store experience because that's kind of one of my passion places, having been at Premier Retail Networks for so long and done a lot of experiential projects. That storytelling experience. I was actually the executive producer in charge of visualizing the future of advertising for the film Minority Report. So, when Tom Cruise is like anywhere he is and there's advertising everywhere, it's like, what does that look like? How does it act? And what's the technology behind it? And it was important that that was all based on real technology at the time, but not fully developed technologies, So we were like, well, would holograms be it? And in fact, when I was at PRN, Technicolor's Premier Retail Networks, we did some in-store testing with hologram units and various other kiosks and things like that. So that's where my mind goes when I think about the future. I'm like,
Interesting.
oh
I love
yeah,
it.
it's an immersive experience. It's not your traditional like shelves lined with product. It's entertainment. It's the brand and experiencing it in gesture and touch and visual audio, the whole ball of wax.
I love that movie, by the way. And I think it's like 24 years old, 23 years
Shh.
old. I mean, I remember watching it
I was a
and
baby.
still I've
Yeah.
watched it plenty of times. It's pretty good.
Yeah. It's fun. It holds up. I mean, it's based on a Philip K. Dick novel, so it's definitely classic sci-fi. But then you add Spielberg to the equation and the team that worked on it, and it was pretty phenomenal experience.
Eh, Pretty cool. I love it. One word you hope customers associate with Heartland America.
Trust.
Trust. I love it. Yeah. We've been talking about that all podcasts.
Yeah.
So perfect. So Anne, before we close, where can people learn more about Heartland America and connect with you?
Well, heartlandamerica.com. Pretty straightforward. Yep, that's it. That's
Yeah.
that's the URL.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for our listeners as well. What stands out from this conversation is that retail modernization is not simply about adding more technology, right? We've talked about keeping the catalog, yeah,
Yep.
being faithful to your customers. So it's about using technology, data, customer insight to make better decisions while preserving, of course, the trust and the human judgment that customers still value. So Ann White, Chief Marketing Officer at Heartland America, thank you so much for joining us in Deep
Thank
Cards.
you. That
And
was
to everyone
really
listening,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. It was great having you. And to everyone listening, thank you for being here. Until next time, keep asking the questions that take you beneath the surface. Thank you for joining us.